And I told you yesterday, of course, that US President Joe Biden didn't have anything to say when it came to Afghanistan and the US withdrawal from there, the terrible, traumatic, deadly US withdrawal after 20 years. Well, overnight, our time, the President gave an address to the nation on that topic.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. We completed one of the biggest airlifts in history, with more than 120,000 people evacuated to safety. That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history. Only the United States had the capacity and the will and ability to do it, and we did it today.
All good, according to Joe, giving himself a pat on the back. Just out of interest, let's turn the clock back almost 20 years, just under 20 years, and have a look at what Joe Biden was saying back in 2001.
We cannot and certainly will not walk away from 7 million displaced, desperate Afghans. I'm reluctant to use the word nation building because it is such a loaded political term these days. But if we leave Afghanistan in chaos, it will be another time bomb waiting to explode.
Well, he did seem a lot sharper back then, didn't he? But he has left Afghanistan in chaos, and it is a time bomb waiting to explode. Mark my words. Let's catch up now with former Democrat White House staffer Barbara Heineback. Good to talk to you, Barbara. I haven't spoken to you for a while. What are your impressions of Joe Biden so far, especially in the wake of this Kabul shambles?
This is a dark moment for America. You know, Chris, the world is not against what Biden tried to do in terms of pulling out of Afghanistan. The last 3 or 4 presidents have talked about doing just that. The problem is how he did it. No nation in the world, other than, I guess, this particular one, would be silly enough to pull out your military before you pull your people out. He left Americans, Afghan nationals, and others he just abandoned them. He left the global world and our allies in a lurch. He did not even reach out after the debacle at the airport had taken place and started. And what was more curious than that, we had an airport in Afghanistan, in the Kabul area, that was run by and controlled by the U.S. military. It could have been done in a smooth manner. We knew for months that a year, that it was going to finally begin to take place, probably. And the other thing is he left over $85 million worth of equipment, Humvees, helicopters, and other equipment behind. And he even gave the Taliban and ISIS-K a wish list of a hit list of the nationals and where they were, with contact information on them and their families. And we, even our closest allies, Britain, yourselves, Australia, India, the United Kingdom, there were so many countries of allies that have been with us and fought with us and lost loved ones. And he turned his back on all of this.
It was shocking. It was shocking, and particularly that closure of the Bagram Air Force Base and the emptying of its prison were very, very serious mistakes. I just want to show you one other clip from President Biden's address overnight.
This decision about Afghanistan is not just about Afghanistan. It's about ending an era of major military operations to remake other countries.
There you go, Barbara. I agree with you on all that horror story, how badly this was handled, but that comment there about ending those overseas missions, that's the bit that's going to be politically popular, isn't it? That's taking America back to an isolationist stance that often the Republicans push alongside many Democrats.
Exactly. That might be hot air coming from him, who knows, because he has waffled and been very wishy-washy on the 19th of August, I'll leave no one behind, and then he would. So, you know, the fact that he's talking about some nation building and pulling back, who knows? I think it was just another emphasis of him trying to play dodgeball what I noticed about his speech last night when he was saying no other nation has done this, I said, well, thank God for that at least. But when he was mentioning 122,000 people he got out, no one thought he could do it. I did a little homework and checking, and I just checked with one airport. Let's take the Atlanta airport, where they move about, they airlift, or they have flights going out about 15,000 a day. Now, that's just one airline in Atlanta. That's not even the whole airport. And then I multiplied that, let's say 100 people on every plane, and that would give you 500,000 people being flown out of Atlanta, one airport, in one day, going nationally, internationally. So what is it, and you multiply that by 10 days, you've got 150,000 people that
a little bit more difficult, I suppose, there, and a lot of countries were trying to do the same, but certainly was a shambles. Thanks for joining us, Barbara. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Barbara Heineback there, who's worked in the White House under Democrat presidents.